Hi, everyone. Welcome to Gotham Technology Group's Managed Service webinar, Deliver More with Less, End User Computing Managed Services for the Modern IT Leader. Today's session is hosted by Andy Meyer, Brian Wagner, Ryan Lee, and Bob Serra. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to drop them in the chat below, and we'll answer the questions at the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Claire. So good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us today for our latest edition in our Gotham webinar series. My name is Andy Meyer. I'm the Vice President of Professional Services here at Gotham, and we're excited to share our insights and our best practices around end-user computing as we deliver it as a managed service, right? We call it RemoteAdmin for EUC. And we're going to tell you about how our approach can help organizations like yours hopefully achieve better outcomes. So let's get started. Here's a quick look at our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about who we are, right? Who's Gotham, what it is that we do in the industry. And then we're going to dive into some of the challenges that are facing IT teams and our approach to EUC management. So what we're going to do is cover how we monitor, how we support, and how we operate these environments, and how we deliver the solution in a way that makes financial sense for our customers. You're also going to hear about a real customer success story, and we're going to wrap it up with some Q&A. So today I'm joined by a fantastic panel. We've got Brian Wagner, who's our Director of AI, Cloud, and End User Computing at Gotham. We've got Ryan Lee, one of our Senior Solution Architects, and Bob Serra, who's the Program Manager for Managed Services here at Gotham. So together, this whole team brings deep expertise across the EUC landscape, and we're here to answer any and all of your questions. We'll probably take about 30 minutes to run through the material today, just to set the time frames. So let's talk a little bit about Gotham, right? Who we are, in case you don't know. We deliver custom technology solutions. We work with our customers from initial architecture through deployment and then with ongoing operational management. We've got offices in New York City, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and we serve organizations ranging from small businesses to global enterprises through our service delivery organization. Our core areas of expertise include cybersecurity, EUC, end-user computing, cloud services. We do technical staffing as well, and managed services, all of which we're going to touch on briefly today. So our commitment is to provide tailored solutions that meet your unique business needs. One of Gotham's strengths is our strategic partnerships with leading technology vendors. We work closely with companies like Nerdio, like Microsoft, like Amazon Workspaces, right? Microsoft is very close to us, and all, as well as Amazon. Omnissa is out there. We work a lot with Nutanix, certainly iGel from a delivery perspective, and then Lakeside and ControlUp from a digital employee experience DEX perspective. These relationships allow us to deliver the best solutions for our clients. We leverage our experience with them, and we maintain the highest partnership levels through all the work that we do with our customers with them. By partnering with them, we're able to offer innovative and cost-effective solutions while helping customers achieve objectives and keeping costs down. Let's take a little look at some of the breadth of Gotham's managed services, especially in the remote admin world. So our goal is to simplify IT for you, right? We want to deliver real value across your technology stack. We provide remote admin services for a wide range of critical IT areas, including end-user computing, right? We ensure your users have reliable, secure, and high-performing desktop experiences, whether it's on-premises or in the cloud or some hybrid environment. We have experience across all of those. In the ADC, or the Application Delivery Controller world, we manage load balancing and network traffic for seamless application access, and we have a particular expertise in Citrix NetScalers. We've got over 200 NetScalers under management today. With backup and recovery, we're a big Rubrik partner, and we've done a lot of work in that space. We protect data 24/7. We do disaster recovery as a service as part of that. We do certainly backup restoration, validation, verification. All of those services are included in that world. We also have particular expertise in the Microsoft 365 space with identity as well. And managing that across, Entra and the different mechanisms for authentication that customers demand today is really important. We do a lot of SQL work. Certainly have a lot of expertise in Azure. And we have RemoteAdmin for VMware, right? For those who are still on on-prem infrastructure, we manage entire VMware infrastructures as well as the Windows workloads that run on top of them. We also have offerings around the firewall and networking space. All right. So with Gotham, you get a partner who can manage all of these diverse environments under one roof. We reduce complexity, we improve uptime, and we free up your team to do more innovative things. And that's really where it's at. So our expertise and proactive approach means you can trust us to handle the day-to-day care and feeding of your IT systems so you can deliver more with less, right? That's the objective. Everybody gets told that. We have to, budgets are getting cut, all different things are happening. And, outsourcing is certainly one way that folks look at that. Excuse me, I'll take a little drink here. All right, so today, we're here to talk about EUC though specifically. So our focus today is on that. So let's start by looking at the challenges, right? That IT teams faced. Most organizations are asking their IT teams to do more with less, as I said. They're overburdened, they're under constant stress and pressure to control costs. So these teams are often small and they rely heavily on native tools, right, that are built into the system. And while those tools can handle basic tasks, they lack automation. They lack integration that we need for efficiencies. So the result that you get with that is processes become manual, much more time consuming, very inconsistent, and all of that impacts service quality and reliability. So what does that mean in practice, right? First, there's a lack of standardization across all of the processes. Every issue is handled differently, which creates variability and which introduces risk. It makes it harder to prevent problems before they escalate. Finally, we're talking about this approach and it just doesn't scale. The business grows, IT just can't keep up. It's a constant struggle and it really limits agility and it slows down innovation. So to sum it all up, the challenges we face today, overburdened staff, inconsistent processes, and limited scalability make it clear the current approach just doesn't work. It's not sustainable. If we want IT to support business and manage operations, reduce risk, and to grow, we need to rethink how we do things. So that means moving towards standardization, and that means scalable solutions. With that in mind, I'd like to hand it over to Brian Wagner, who's our Director of Cloud and EUC and AI. He's going to walk us through our approach to EUC management and show you how RemoteAdmin can help organizations overcome these challenges and achieve better outcomes. Brian?
Awesome. Thank you, Andy. So how does Gotham approach this? What is Gotham's approach to managed services? As Andy mentioned, we provide really deep level experience to ensure comprehensive monitoring, support, and operational management, which sounds great, but how do we actually do that, right? So we've chosen the best of breed tools. A lot of the partners that Andy mentioned earlier are in that space to ensure we offer a consistent experience for our customer base. And we've been working with our customers and defining these standards for the last 25 plus years through project delivery and our professional services team. And our managed services offerings allow us to take that proactive approach with our customers for their day-to-day care and feedings of their environment. So for us to be able to do it in their environments. So when it comes to end user computing, we have a very highly skilled and long tenured staff. People have been with us a very long time with experience managing these environments from really our core areas around mid-sized to enterprise customers is where this service seems to excel. It's about 10 years old. It was actually our first managed service offering driven out of a customer demand. And over the years, we've spent a lot of time maturing it significantly. So, we'll kind of walk you through it over the next few slides, how we can provide monitoring support and operations for UC. So Logic Monitor is our primary monitoring platform and really gives us complete visibility and automation across customer environments. So, when we take a new customer and we onboard everything into Logic Monitor, their servers, Citrix Cloud, Azure Virtual Desktop, Omnis Horizon, Amazon Workspaces, all of that is supported within the platform. And, for us, we want to bring in the supporting infrastructure. So not just those, but the things that we depend on. So areas like VMware, Nutanix, storage, if they're in the cloud, Azure, AWS via API. So the platform can also bring in the networking side. It can bring in firewalls, cloud instances, platform as a service to really complete the picture. So that is very extensible. Allows us to the platform also has auto discovery of services. It allows us to apply intelligent templates and really starts collecting performance and capacity metrics immediately. So this allows us to provide a really quick time to value as we implement it. The monitoring alerting are real time and smart. So thresholds are customized by device and service that we've been tuning over years. The alerts are prioritized by severity. We also leverage dynamic thresholds and anomaly detection within the platform to help cut false positives so the team can really just focus on what matters and what's real. We build dashboards and reporting to help keep our customers informed. These centralized views show health, trend analysis for things like capacity planning, and just a place to go to help customers make better decisions on what they have. We've integrated the platform with ServiceNow, which automates incident management. So when Logic Monitor detects a critical issue, it creates a ServiceNow ticket automatically with the full context and links for diagnostics. Updates are two-way and kind of sync both ways. So if an alert clears, the case is actually updated, and all of our incidents are prioritized by SLA. This kind of automation capability shifts us from reactive support to predictive service delivery and frees up engineers for probably better, more high-value work. And the last piece is around extending our visibility with what Gartner, Andy mentioned earlier, around digital employee experience, or DEX. So it's not just about uptime, it's really about user experience. That's what we're trying to help and deliver the best experience for. So by combining the infrastructure monitoring we do with Logic Monitor with DEX, we connect IT performance to productivity and delivering higher uptime, faster resolution of any issues, better transparency, and the ability to answer the question of like, why is my session slow, by offering more of an end-to-end view of their connection. So we'll take a peek at some of the Logic Monitor, we call it GothamWatch sometimes in our environment, but Logic Monitor dashboards that we use. We've spent some time developing some custom templates that when a new customer comes on board, we're able to quickly adapt, customize for their environment, and get value out of. So depends on what we're looking at here, but for, let's say, an Azure Virtual Desktop or Citrix Cloud, there's a lot of information around bubbling up the data that we get in the platform. So things like connections, availability, health, how many people are connected. Those are typical things that people want to see. When we look at NetScaler, we might have a different focus around virtual servers, number of SSL connections or connections to VPN or Citrix, or the status of SSL certificates is always a hot topic, policy hits, things like that. When we're looking at VMware or Nutanix, we're typically showing data around the clusters and hosts, CPU, memory, IOPS, and other health indicators. And for everything that we monitor, there are built-in thresholds. So, we kind of help ensure that we get alerts when something's outside of the baseline and the norms that we've not only come out of the box in the platform, but that we've spent 10 years customizing and tweaking. So really so that's everything around the monitoring and alerting area. I'll hand it over to Bob to kind of dig into what we have on our support side.
Thanks, Brian. Yeah, so as Brian said, our monitoring and automation platform is only part of the story. What differentiates our managed services is how we own the full technology stack, how we meet defined service commitments, and how we staff our support organizations with experienced onshore engineers who are dedicated to our customers' success. Our support team covers every layer of our customers' environment, from core infrastructure and virtualization all the way up to applications and end-user computing. So as Brian said, we maintain deep expertise across Citrix, VMware, Microsoft platforms, which means we can troubleshoot and optimize both legacy environments and modern cloud or hybrid deployments. Because we take full stack ownership, we're able to resolve issues that cross multiple platforms. So for example, if a user reports slow performance, we're not just looking at the virtual desktop. We're analyzing the entire chain. We're looking at the storage, the networking, policies, application performance. And often that leads us to find the root cause in places that a single vendor support team would never check, like a back-end data store bottleneck or a misconfigured policy. Along with that, every customer engagement comes with a clearly defined SLA-backed response and resolution targets aligned to severity and business impact. So with logic monitors alerting and anomaly detection, we're able to identify issues and open up tickets before customers even know there's a problem. Our ServiceNow integration takes over with the automated routing and escalation. So by the time the customer is notified, our engineers are already actively working on their remediation. This result is simple. It's fewer incidents, faster resolutions, and a proactive support experience rather than a reactive one. And as I think Andy mentioned in the beginning, our support organization is staffed entirely with full-time onshore engineers. We do not outsource. We do not rely on short-term contractors. Many of our team members have been with our company for years. That long tenure means that we deeply understand our customers' environment, their change history, and their business priorities. And when complex issues or project-level challenges come up, our support team can tap directly into our professional service engineers for additional expertise without the customer having to initiate a separate engagement or bring in another vendor. Another area where we consistently deliver value for our customers is in multi-vendor incident resolution. So our approach starts with proactive monitoring, as we talked about. Because we use Logic Monitor and we tightly integrate that with our ServiceNow instance, we often detect and diagnose issues before a vendor is even engaged. That means our team is already working on the problem long before a vendor support case would normally have to be opened. We also bring deep expertise across the multiple technology stacks. So Citrix, Microsoft, VMware, Palo Alto, and more. That cross-platform knowledge is critical because most real-world outages don't live neatly inside one vendor's product. They span storage, networking, virtualization, firewalls, identity, and application. So having engineers who understand how these systems interact let us isolate the root cause much faster than relying on vendor escalations alone. And finally, we are the persistent troubleshooters. We don't just stop at the vendor says it's not their issue. We engage fully. We follow the evidence. We test assumptions. We keep going until we get to a real actionable resolution. That persistence is how we uncovered issues like misconfigurations, policy conflicts, and interoperability bugs that multiple vendors overlooked. I'd like to say that this approach leads to Gotham's finest moments. So when a customer is facing a SEV1 or a SEV2 outage, we bring together the expertise from across all those technical areas I mentioned: networking, virtualization, application security. We get to the root cause of the issue and we implement workarounds and permanent resolutions as quickly as possible. So our goal in these moments is simple. We own the problem, we coordinate across platforms when needed, and we drive the issue to a full resolution as quickly as possible to have a clear understanding of what happened and how we prevent it from happening again. So everything I walk through highlights how we deliver a proactive, reliable, and deeply engaged support experience for our customer, but support is just really our foundation. What sets Gotham apart is how we help our customers innovate through our operations. By using the data, insights, and process maturity we build every day to drive continuous improvement, modernization, and stronger business outcomes. And that's exactly what our next presenter is here to talk about. So Ryan Lee, he works closely with our customers every day to identify opportunities for optimization, automation, and long-term transformation across their environments. So he'll walk you through how we take operational tasks, turn them into real measurable innovation for the organizations we partner with. So thanks, Ryan. It's all yours.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. So listen, my goal is to ideally not burden Bob's team with support incidents. So my goal is to really keep things from going wrong in the first place. And really where that starts is taking the time to understand our customers, taking the time to understand their policies, their procedures. Sometimes they don't even have any procedures, or they just need a little bit of work. So at that point, that's where we work with our customers, kind of create those defined policies and procedures. And then we get to have a little bit of fun with it, right? We get to push it to the next level and start to introduce automation. And that's very near and dear to my heart. So generally, whenever we're trying to automate anything, typically we're going to start with low-hanging fruit. Usually the simple stuff, something small. it's repetitive. Maybe you have to do it once or twice, but it's enough to kind of automate it, get it off your plate, and forget about it. That's generally where we like to start, but sometimes there's some pretty big complex tasks out there that it may take a while to automate, but in the end, it's going to prove incredibly valuable. One of those is image management. It's a great example. It's something that I think I and many other people here at Gotham just have wasted a lot of time on image management, especially if you're managing multiple images. So, when we took a step back and we thought about it, it's like, man, we're spending a lot of time on this process. It's making sure that these images are patched, applications are patched. Maybe we need to add some new applications, and that process is very manual and very lengthy. It typically is going to involve a lot of late night hours or weekends because we can't just push an image out into production. There's going to be some change control processes and procedures in place. We're usually trying to coordinate some testing windows, maybe with some end users to validate things. And then ultimately, when we get into production, we're really just kind of crossing our fingers because we can't test every end-to-end workflow. So that's where they kind of gave me a sandbox and said, see what you can do. And that's where we've done that, right? We've automated image management. We use a process from IBM's HashiCorp Packer. We also do a lot with Nerdio as well. But with that, we're able to take this very manual process and keep all of these golden images. It could be end user computing, could be server templates, but we keep them patched with our security agents. And they're automated end to end with unit testing. So really what that turns into is this automated image update, rollout, unit testing, and then ultimately elevating that into production. And our customers no longer have to babysit that update cycle. So that's just image management. It's important. We do a lot more, but really, speaking to image management, that's really the difference between managing infrastructure manually and managing it like an evolving critical asset. So when we're talking about continuous integration and enforcement on this, well, what I'm really talking about is infrastructure as code, image as code, full end-to-end pipelines, and really giving us the ability to move fast without breaking anything. So again, we're calling out image management because we just know that that's going to be something that is probably hitting home to a lot of the people in the audience. But again, that's not typically where we would start when we get in with our customers. It's going to be anything that's repetitive. So it could be provisioning tasks, scaling tasks, routine maintenance, and really just defining the process, the procedure, and then automating it. So the goal here is really to kind of take our customers and allow them and even our team to become more like orchestrators instead of a bunch of late night button pushers that are just staring at paint dry on a screen. So with this approach, we think the payoff here is pretty straightforward for our customers. For us, it's a lot less late night calls, a lot less oops moments in production, and deployments that are ultimately going to run, whether it's the first time it's running or it's the 50th time running. Head to the, thank you. And it's really that automation foundation, infrastructure as code, automation as code, defining the policies and procedures. Really, that's the foundation that's really allowing us to, and our customers, allowing us to kind of scale things like endpoints to hundreds or thousands without our team and your team having to grow at the same rate. So we're leading with automation because really that's the only way that we can scale and kind of make this math work. Chances are your team's probably not getting any bigger, but your environment probably is. So with modern tooling to kind of handle all of that repetitive stuff, All those tasks that could be I don't want to say meaningless, but trivial, like it takes a couple minutes, I've got to do it a couple times a week, those all add up and turns into hours, and hours turns into days and weeks. But a lot of those tasks may not necessarily require human judgment. So those are the ones that we're targeting to kind of automate, and that way we get those off your plate, they're off of our plate, and things just run without somebody babysitting them. And then my favorite part about automation is the consistency, right? It may seem like a lot of work up front, but you get a whole lot of consistency as a byproduct of automation. Because again, right, we're no longer worrying about team members. Maybe somebody is recently onboarded and we give them an SOP or a document to follow that says follow this, A, B, C, X, Y, Z in order to push out that image update. And hope that they don't miss a step in between, because if they do, something's going to break. We don't have to worry about that anymore because it's all standardized through code at that point. So when we take that combination, the automation, all that consistency, that's how we're ultimately getting those efficiency gains. Our goal isn't just to do things faster, just to do them faster, right? The goal here is to eliminate a lot of rework that tends to happen when people are trying to go fast and they're skipping something and they're not following it. Things are happening different ways across team members. So it's giving us a fast way to do it safely and securely. And that's how we're scaling ourselves here at Gotham. That's how we're scaling helping our customers scale. There's nothing magical about it, right? A lot of these modern tools, we're calling them modern. Many of them have been around for a while. They just haven't been adopted by a lot of customers, but they're tried, they're true, they're fantastic. So really what we're doing is we're kind of letting these tools do what they do best, and kind of removing the human bottlenecks out of the process. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to you, Andy. I think next we'll talk about some of the numbers.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. Just for everyone out there, if you haven't worked with Ryan Lee, Ryan heads up our innovation team here at Gotham, and certainly is the main pipeline of all our innovation efforts across automation, across AI, and then letting that flow down into our managed services operations and our consulting services operations. So today we want to talk about EUC and cost in a way that reflects really how IT leaders look at it. It's not just line item math. Cost optimization and predictability, right? In most EUC environments, cost creep doesn't come from new hires. It comes from overtime, after hours work. It comes from endless reactive situations. So RemoteAdmin for EUC reduces that variability for you. We take ownership of monitoring, of response, of escalation. So costs become very predictable instead of spiky. The goal here isn't workforce reduction. It's cost control, it's cost consistency. As far as capacity recovery goes, this is often the biggest area of value that we deliver. Before managed services, senior engineers spend a disproportionate amount of time reacting, patching, chasing alerts, managing vendor cases, dealing with repeat issues. Once Gotham takes ownership of those operational responsibilities, customers typically gain about 20 to 40% of their senior engineering time back. That capacity gets redirected into other things that leadership wants done today, and you don't have to add any staff to do it. The outcome isn't fewer people, it's more progress, right? That's really the goal. The third bucket is risk and operational stability. EUC environments are often really complex. They're multi-vendor, they're heavily dependent on a small number of key people. We bring standardized runbooks, we named SLAs, as Bob was talking about earlier, and consistent execution across Citrix, across Microsoft, and all the surrounding infrastructure. The ROI here isn't really flashy, right? It's stability, it's predictability, and much fewer surprises. Some customers justify this on cost optimization, others on capacity recovery, and others on reducing risk. Most see value in all three, but it really only takes one of those to make the model work. So I'm going to hand it back to Ryan now to talk about a real world scenario where we excelled.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, I think I could probably speak on behalf of everyone here at Gotham. There is no greater accolade than helping a customer out of a jam, and that's what I love about Gotham. It's what I love about our team. Sure, we've got very talented, very smart, good resources. Some are generalists and subject matter experts. But when things go wrong that end up in the EUC space, generally it's cross stack, right? So there's going to be a symptom that's going to come up, and it's just Omnissa, it's just Citrix, it's just AVD. There's a problem there, but we have to kind of trace it down the stack. And with our team, there's no finger pointing, right? Without somebody like Gotham, you're typically calling on different teams or different vendors, and they're usually saying it's not my problem. And with our group, we don't get that. Our teams will pull in the appropriate subject matter experts. They'll jump on at a moment notice, and they attack the issue, not the symptom that's being reported. So I love them in that regard, and they're relentless, right? They're not going to stop until they've identified a root cause. And because of this, we tend to remediate many issues without requiring any vendor assistance. Sometimes it's unavoidable, right? We don't know everything, and more importantly, we don't own certain vendor products, right? Sometimes the issue is with the vendor. It's with a particular product or a firmware. But if and when that does happen, we're not just passing the buck to our customers and saying, "Oh yeah, it looks like it's a firmware bug," or "It looks like it's a problem with this particular client." We're staying involved with our customers every step of the way, and we're actually holding these vendors accountable. So instead of sending customers down a rabbit hole, we'll push back. We'll say, "No, here are the facts, and tell me why we're going down this path." And ultimately, when we do have to reach out to them, we will ensure that the case gets escalated in a timely manner or routed to the appropriate teams on the vendor side. So, recent example of this, we had a customer that reached out to us. They had a complete Citrix outage. Unfortunately, they weren't an actual support or managed services customer with us, but they were a customer we had done work with, and they just remembered our name. So they made some changes to the environment. I think it was a Friday night, and 48 hours later, they had cases open with 3, I think maybe even 4 different vendors. Sometimes they were able to get a couple on the same line together, but usually it was the customer that was just playing phone tag with all of these vendors. And each time they're all just pointing their fingers like, "It's not us, it's this." You've probably been there before. So fast forward 48 hours, and Monday morning's right around the corner. It's about to be a very bad day for this team. All the users are going to come in, and nobody can access the environment. So again, this customer remembered us from a previous engagement. They threw out a last-minute Hail Mary type phone call to us and just said, "Help! Here's where we're at, and we're spinning our wheels." And just as our team always does, they rallied. They looked at the issues. They went from the bottom of the stack to the top of the stack and back again. And we ultimately identified a bug in the particular firewall platform that only surfaced after a recent Microsoft Azure change. Obviously, this wasn't something we could fix, but we were at least able to identify the issue, and then we were able to put a workaround in to restore all operations for their entire end user base before they came in the following morning. So just a great example on our team and how they kind of pull together and help out our customers. So again, I mentioned earlier, my goal is to make sure that things don't end up going to support, right? Those break fix calls, those Hail Mary calls to our team. And I think that's a perfect example of managed services. We all want to avoid those calls. We want to do things safer and more efficiently. So remote admin services is really meant just for that. In this case, this is our remote admin services for ADCs or application delivery controllers. And the whole purpose of this is to allow customers to make changes to critical components and do it safely and make sure that they have subject matter experts available with them every step of the way, defining test plans, defining rollbacks, outlining scope and blast radius, working with your teams to make sure you have the proper change control in place. So this is this is a very important feature when you're making production changes. Now, when it comes to application delivery controllers, I think I read somewhere like 80 or 90% of internet traffic flows through an ADC. So you can imagine, right? These are critical appliances. They control a lot of everything that you're doing on the internet. And they're just as critical in our customers' infrastructure, right? Andy mentioned we've got over 200 appliances that we're managing. So you can imagine any change to something like this critical component, it has a real potential to cause a problem or a bad day at the very least. So with RemoteAdmin for ADC, the goal and purpose of this is for us to kind of take joint ownership of those configurations, of the ADC configurations. And we're making sure that your team isn't scrambling when you need to make a move and add a change, right? You need to add this or you need to update this. So it's really the same proactive hands-on approach that we've been kind of talking about through today, but in this case, this is specifically focused on ADC environments. Now, that's going to include 2 major firmware upgrades each year. Those are going to be the ones that introduce new features and tend to require a little extra planning. But it's also going to handle any ad hoc security patching from the vendor. So if we need to push out an update due to vulnerability, we'll do those as needed. So again, if you're interested in ADC management, something your team might be stretched a little thin on, you want some dedicated SMEs from our team, this is definitely a great option to explore. So with that, I'll go ahead and hand it over to you, Brian, talk a little bit about some remote admin services for cloud.
Perfect. Thank you, Ryan. Just to add on, even on the ADC side, we've been learning a lot, as we have new vulnerabilities and other things that get announced for our customers, and we're building some custom tools that leverage Logic Monitor, but take the data and so that we can analyze it and use it much more powerfully. So examples are being able to do broad searches of understanding which customers are using certain features that might be affected by a vulnerability so that we can quickly define scope, who's affected type of stuff, because a lot of times the vulnerabilities that come out are pretty specific about a feature or a particular service that we can now quickly leverage the data that we have to do broad searches and really work with our customers to develop a quick plan of action to remediate. So anyways, on the remote admin for Azure AWS, we have obviously you guys, I'm sure everybody's in some level of a hybrid or moving towards cloud more, right? So whether you're in Azure AWS, we want to be able to have a service that helps you support that and operate that environment either now or down the road. So our service, like the other ones, include monitoring support operations for the landing zone, like the core VNets and core cloud infrastructure, the VMs, obviously, that live up there, infrastructure as a service, as they call it up there, the end user computing environments that we discussed around AVD or Amazon Workspaces that live up there, but also platform services. Logic Monitor is able to provide, monitor really almost everything that's up in Azure AWS, including platform services via API. So things like Azure SQL, Azure Files, Recovery Services, Vaults, VNets, all those things are included. We also have a lot of customers that are moving towards DR in the cloud, and they want to get rid of the second data center, cut costs, just better efficiency of spend, right? So Gotham has a great offering around what we call disaster recovery as a service. We leverage Azure Site Recovery. So we have a very well orchestrated process that we can assess the current environment, provide accurate costs for what the solution is going to be for both Azure and Gotham on top, so that we can be the ones flipping switches either in a test or real DR scenario. So really what our goal there is to take the journey with our customers to the cloud and leverage the best practices that we've developed on premises and modernize those offerings for cloud to include DevOps and enhance visibility with all the experience that we've garnered. So That is our remote admin for Azure and AWS. So to bring it all back home, I'll hand it back to Andy. And
Thanks, Brian. Again, just a reminder, if there's any questions, dump them into the question queue, please, and we'll handle them in just a sec. So as we wrap up here today, right, I want to bring this back to the reality most IT leaders are living in today. EUC environments, they're not getting simpler, they're getting more complex. They're more distributed, they're more vendor diverse, they're more visible to the business than ever before. Applications are more important than ever. At the same time, IT teams are being asked to deliver better experiences, to move faster and reduce risk without adding complexity or surprises, and all this at a reduced cost. So what we've shown you today isn't just a support model, it's an operational approach. Our remote admin for EUC is about creating stability in environments that are constantly changing. We do this, again, through proactive monitoring, deep technical ownership, and automation-first ownership. We want to consistently execute across all of these platforms. For some organizations, the value shows up as a cost predictability effort. For others, it's recovered capacity. And for many, it's fewer incidents and less operational noise. And most see all three in some form. The common thread is this: EUC stops being a daily fire drill and starts becoming a reliable foundation your business can build on. So, what's our call to action here? The next step isn't a commitment, it's a conversation. If what you saw today feels relevant, we'd offer a short optional follow-up where our EUC team can map out this approach to your environment. In about 15 minutes, we can help you answer 3 questions. Where are we spending the most operational effort today? Where are the risk and inconsistency showing up? And where would a managed services actually make a difference? No pressure on you, no generic proposal, just practical guidance. If there's a fit, there's a fit. That would be great. We're here to help. So you can reach out directly to your Gotham account manager. You can use the QR code on the screen, get in touch with us at info@gothamtg.com if you like. You can email us there. We'll take that email and set up a call with you. So we really appreciate the opportunity to help share our approach with you. And we're happy to answer any questions at this time, if there are any. If not, we want to thank you for your time once again. And please, thank you for shopping Gotham, and enjoy the rest of your day.
thank you, everyone.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Have a good day now.